Mondale Smith.
This evening, Exxon finds more oil. Tiger Bay resident brutally chopped. City councilor criticizes town clerk. In the region, in Trinidad and Tobago, police service to tackle government corruption. And international, in Nigeria, Boko Haram kidnaps over 100 additional schoolgirls.
From Safe TV headquarters in South Rival Gardens, this is Safe TV Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Today is Wednesday, February the 28th, 2018, and this edition of Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. An argument that allegedly started over a woman ended in violence on Monday. Here's Esther Sobers with more.
Pandemonium struck the Tiger Bay community on Monday afternoon after one man was chopped several times. According to an eyewitness, 25-year-old Kiwi Andrews of Tiger Bay was attacked by two men of African descent. An argument ensued between Andrews and one of the attackers, resulted in him being chopped by a cutlass. His mother received a chop wound to her hand as he tried to intervene. The eyewitness alleges that the attack may have stemmed from an argument over a woman. Andrews and one of the attackers supposedly have a relationship with the same woman who also resides in Tiger Bay. The suspects, who are also from another village, were both clad in white shirts and camouflage pants. They immediately fled the scene after the brutal attack. Andrews was taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where he is listed in critical condition. The matter was reported to the police station and the assailants are still on the run. If you or anyone you know may have information that can lead to the arrest of the two men in the footage, you can call 911 or visit the nearest police station. For Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Cabinet announces another major oil find, and the government is to establish a Department of Energy. Here is the announcement in its entirety.
Today, just coming out of Cabinet's meeting, I'd like to give an update to the public. The first is that another discovery of petroleum has been made, this time in the Pecora well, which is about 4 miles from the Payara well in the Stabroek block. And more details of this latest discovery, which has occurred within the last 48 hours, will be shared with the nation as we continue to have an aggressive program of exploration and, of course, as we proceed towards production in 2020. So to date, we have overseen the drilling of 7 wells by Exxon, 6 of which have borne fruit in that they have proven good. 1 has not. But we have so far an excellent record, and I'd like to congratulate the crew of the Stena Carron, which has been the ship that has done 90% of the discoveries without a day loss or any injury or any man-hours lost, and that is commendable. And of course, it has been done in a very efficient way. The second announcement is that last year I did propose to His Excellency the President that we begin considering the establishment of a Department of Energy, which department will be the one that is focused only on the development of the petroleum sector. And so today we held and had a very lively discussion on the proposal which I presented, and it has been determined and decided that we will have the Department of Energy established, and this will be coming within the next few months. It will be housed at the Ministry of the Presidency, And so the President and Cabinet has mandated that I would head the task force, which would comprise the quintet of ministers. That would be ministers of finance, state, public infrastructure, business, and myself. And we will include the other ministers of public security, public communications, and hopefully ministers of education and public and social protection, So this task force will be meeting and will make a proposal to Cabinet as to how the new Department of Energy will be comprised, staffed, and what its mandate will be. Eventually, the expectation is that the Ministry of Natural Resources will hand over responsibility of the function of petroleum to this new department, and we will see a more direct and focused mandate from this Department of Energy, and we will, of course, as a Cabinet, be supporting the department. So this is good news, the discovery, and the decision by Cabinet to have a Department of Energy that's only focused on the development of our petroleum resources.
Police are investigating a fatal accident which occurred about 6:45 p.m. yesterday on Affiance Public Road, Essequibo Coast. Reports indicate that a 23-year-old resident of Charity, Essequibo Coast, was driving motorcar HB 5965 along the eastern carriageway, allegedly at a fast rate. The vehicle collided with 54-year-old housewife Nandrani Singh, who was crossing the road from west to east. Singh sustained several severe injuries and was rushed to the city public hospital in an unconscious state. While receiving medical attention, she succumbed to her injuries. The driver, who was reportedly using his cell phone at the time of the accident, is in police custody and is assisting with the investigation. A breathalyzer test was administered and he was found negative. Bankers Association expresses concern over the recent spate of robberies. BB Backus has more in this report.
The Guyana Association of Bankers released a statement yesterday expressing concern over the rising trend of persons being targeted after conducting transactions at local commercial banks. The association said, "We strongly condemn these incidents and wish to assure our customers and the public at large that as an industry we are working with the relevant authorities and internally with all member banks with a view to arresting this trend." The association claims that it is cooperating with law enforcement to identify factors that allow this environment to flourish. The organization also offers consumers advice as to avoid becoming possible victims, saying, "We take this opportunity to encourage customers and members of the public to as far as possible refrain from conducting large cash transactions and instead utilize other secure methods of payment such as manager's check or direct payments. At this time, local security escort services should also be considered for persons operating businesses which may require transportation of significant sums." Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, I am BB Backus.
Thanks, BB. After the break, Duncan continues criticism of town clerk and senior officer accused of harassment. For the best Creole food in town, come to Ridley's Restaurant. Taste our hot meals, fresh bread, and sweet pastries. Our spacious dining hall is free for all occasions. For reservations and more, call 226-2518 or 225-7245. We're open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wrigley's Restaurant, located at 38 Robb Street, Laceytown, between King and Wellington Streets. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Ridley's Restaurant. Tasty and healthy eating.
I know who I am. I know who I am. I am yours. I am yours. I know who I am. Oh, I know who I am. I know who I am. I am yours. I am yours. And you are mine.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC? not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
Welcome back. The Parliamentary Oversight Committee on the Security Sector will soon be briefed on recent joint forces movements along Guyana's border with Venezuela. The president said that the concerns relating to the country's border is the main reason for his absence from the 29th intersessional meeting of CARICOM heads of government in Haiti. President Granger said, quote, "I expect that there be full participation both by members of the government side and the opposition side. If necessary, we will take the civil society, and I've already briefed the Chief of Staff of the GDF that civil society must be aware of what is taking place." The Oversight Committee on the Security Sector is chaired by the Minister of Public Security, Kamaraj Ramjatan, and includes Ministers Basil Williams, Noel Holder, Valerie Garrido-Lowe, and opposition members Clement Rohi, Joseph Hamilton, Dr. Barry Ramsaran, and Harry Gill. Today, Wendell Jeffrey presents part one of his exclusive interview with former Deputy Mayor and City Councilor Sherrod Duncan.
Is the town clerk answerable to the council?
The town clerk is answerable to the council because the town clerk is a servant of the council. The town clerk's specific role is to be the bottleneck between the administration and the council. The town clerk's role is to execute the mandate, again, the vision, the directives of the council.
In part one of my in-depth discourse with City Councilor and former Deputy Mayor Sherrod Duncan, I asked him to share with the viewers the construct and function of the City Council. I also asked him what he saw as his role and the roles of the mayor and the town clerk. You will also hear the former Deputy Mayor outline what he thinks are some of the errors of the town clerk.
Having been elected, and as a former elected officer as the deputy mayor, and having served in that capacity, and if I would say effectively so, now that you're not there, what do you see as your role?
I have the responsibility to ensure that Georgetown is managed in a competent manner. In a competent manner. That is what the law says. It uses two words. In a professional. So that is my role, to ensure that Georgetown is managed in a professional and in a competent manner. That is my role as a councillor.
For the time that you have spent as the deputy mayor, the access that you would have had, the travels, whatever special things that would have come with that portfolio, do you see yourself using any of those, the knowledge that you have gained from that, in providing guidance?
Because I served as deputy mayor, and one of the roles in acting in the mayor's absence and discharging the functions of mayor is chairing statutory meetings. We've had to meet with several delegations and several issues, give leadership to several issues in the absence of the mayor, meeting with the private sector and so forth. I've had to make sure that I had a good understanding of how the law works, and specific to City Hall is the Municipal and District Councils Act, Chapter 2801. And I've had the good privilege also of studying law, so that has been very helpful in understanding how the law works. And so all that we do at City Hall must come back to what the law says should be done in terms of managing the city. I've tried as much as possible to give guidance on various issues that come to the council level, or even the matters that are circumvented from the council. You see things happening, you hear issues in the media, and you try to give guidance to council. Sometimes the guidance is heeded, sometimes it isn't. More times than not, it isn't heeded. And I think that is what has brought us to this point with a no confidence motion when you see things are going a certain way.
What is the role of the mayor? In brief.
Again, the role of the mayor is to be more of a shepherd to the councillors, to be that point person in orchestrating a vision for City Hall, for Georgetown as a whole.
What is the role of the town clerk?
Again, the town clerk has the role of being the head for City Hall, of being the administrative head, who all the staff for City Hall report to. Law says that where the town clerk is legally qualified to do so, the town clerk can give general legal advice to the council, but that is limited to where he is legally qualified to do so.
Does the current town clerk possess that?
No, because the current town clerk isn't trained in law. If I remember correctly, his training is in the area of communication. So the town clerk cannot operate independent of the two things. Cannot operate independent of the law and cannot operate independent of the council.
What is wrong with what the current town clerk, Mr. Royston King, is doing according to Sheridan Duncan?
All right, where do I start? Let's go back to 2016, when we first took office, when our tenure started. We had the issues of the removal of vendors from Stabrook Market, and this is a lot of vendors now, 1 and 2, and also from Rob Street. Now the issues of vending and markets and so forth comes on a committee, the Markets and Public Health Committee. When you are an elected councillor and you represent the people at City Hall, then the issues concerning the people must come before the councillors for a decision. Remember, the council sets the policies and the directives. When you wake up one day and you read that stalls are being broken down and people are being moved off of the pavement and all of that, while it might be all well and good for order in the city, the council has a certain function, and so you cannot operate outside of the function of the council. When the vendors were removed from Stabrook Market, I think it was the then Minister of Social Cohesion, who was Minister Walter Lawrence, said that council ought to be more sensitive to the plight of the vendors. When the vendors were moved from Rob Street without the authority of the council, the president himself said that the move was reckless. This is the president, not of a credit union or one of the labor unions. This is the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the executive president, who I support, said that move was reckless.
Tomorrow you will hear about the no confidence motion that will be brought against the town clerk, and Sheridan Duncan will also share what he thinks is the relationship between Mayor Patricia Chase Green and Royston King. For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks, Wendell. One senior officer has been reassigned amidst claims of harassment from his subordinates. Esther Sobers tells us more in this report.
Senior Superintendent Fazil Karim Bash, who was temporarily posted to D Division as of yesterday, has been reassigned to Forces Projects Office due to a shift in its command structure. Nonetheless, police confirm that there is an ongoing investigation by the Forces Office of Professional Responsibility against Senior Superintendent Karim Bash and other ranks of alleged police harassment by an ex-member of the force who was dismissed and recently charged with corrupt transaction by agent. The transaction allegedly occurred when he was a member of the force. The case, which is presently before the court, was investigated by OPR and legal advice obtained before the criminal charge was instituted. Several other allegations of corruption against the said ex-cop are currently being investigated. Sources state that several persons who worked under the officer in every division that he served have accused him of treating them unfairly, and whenever they object, he would use his authority and rank to have them disciplined and or transferred out of the division. Meanwhile, Senior Superintendent Fazil Karim Bash is among the several senior officers who are currently on leave. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Join us after the break for your regional news, international news, and more.
place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
For the best Creole food in town, come to Ridley's Restaurant. Taste our hot meals, fresh bread, and sweet pastries. Our spacious dining hall is free for all occasions. For reservations and more, call 226-2518 or 225-7245. We're open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wrigley's Restaurant, located at 38 Robb Street, Laceytown, between King and Wellington Streets. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Ridley's Restaurant. Tasty and healthy eating. Welcome back. And we now take a look at the region. In Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says steps are being taken to deal with the alleged corruption discovered under the previous administration. C News has more.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says steps are being taken to deal with the alleged corruption discovered under the previous administration will be handled by members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. On Thursday, he told supporters at a PNM meeting in La Hogata that he had evidence that former United National Congress ministers received bribes when in office. Speaking at the opening of the Carenage Homework Center and Police Youth Club, the Prime Minister had this to say on the matter.
Filing anything against the UNC. We'll be taking action against individuals who have abused their office and who have stolen public money. The tensions in communities and the tensions between communities and the police are of concern, but we have to try and ensure that people don't see the police service or the police officers as their enemy, because the police relies very heavily on the cooperation of the public to bring about effective policing. I can tell you one of the areas of focus that we have is to rebuild the trust between the citizenry and the police service.
And internationally, in Nigeria, over 100 schoolgirls have been kidnapped by Boko Haram during an attack reminiscent of the one almost 4 years ago. CNN has that story.
Nigeria is ramping up its search for more than 100 missing girls after militants attacked their school last Monday. The Air Force has deployed fighter jets, helicopters and surveillance planes. The girls were taken by suspected Boko Haram fighters in Nigeria's northeast. The president has called the situation a national disaster. Stephanie Pasari is in Lagos for us, and you've been hearing some pretty horrific stories relating to how these girls were taken and some first-hand witness accounts as well.
That's right, Max. We've spoken to a 13-year-old girl who told us how she scaled a fence, grabbed her younger sister at this school where about 900 girls were studying at the time that this men burst into the school. She scaled the fence, jumped over, sprained her ankle, let go of her sister and managed to get away. Her sister has not been seen since, and she's feared to be one of these 110 girls taken by whichever faction of Boko Haram the government believes have got these girls. So, and parents also telling us heartbreaking moments. One father unwittingly spoke to these men on their way to kidnap these schoolgirls. They asked eyewitnesses tell us that they asked villagers, "Where is the school? We're not here. We're not here for you. Don't panic." These men were praying, and the men dressed in military gear asked, "Where is the school, the girls' school?" And this father realized too late that the trucks carting away these girls had his daughter in that truck, his 15-year-old daughter called Umi. Many tales like this, Max, that we're hearing, and parents are just really outraged that the lessons have not been learned from the Chibok girls who were kidnapped nearly 4 years ago, and just asking, how could our daughters been left unprotected to be taken again, Max?
And now for your 7-day weather forecast. Here's this week's bridge retraction schedule and today's foreign currency exchange rates. And that's Channel 2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Channel 2 Headline News on Facebook and YouTube. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast, and Thursday evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm George Gonzalez signing out from this newscast, saying thank you for welcoming us into your homes, and do have a blessed evening.